this class. If you don't know me already, I am Julia. I am a certified yoga teacher, and I am very glad to be here on the Chill Life YouTube channel to lead our next trauma-based grounding yoga class. So for this class, you might need a blanket and perhaps 2 blocks, and also having a pillow would be very useful. However, if you don't have any of this, there is absolutely no problem. If you think you might need blocks, some books would do the same as well. So, just grab whatever you have in the house and let's get ready on the mat. Today we are doing a lot of hip openings, and we're really working around on the hip joints. It is studied and proven by neuroscientists and many doctors that we tend to store trauma, stress, anxieties in our hips. So working on hip mobility can actually help release some of that tension and that stress to then just live a better life overall. Whenever we target this area, we might get certain emotions, certain tension somewhere else in the body, or just something might happen. We might not know what it is. So if you get too overwhelmed at any point of the practice, please feel free to back off, stop, or do completely different things. There is no nothing that I'm saying here has to be done, so please take it as your own practice and just do whatever you feel safe doing. However, even though some emotions come up that might be maybe more unpleasant, I would invite you to study them and just really see what's going on, as long as if it's not too overwhelming. And as I mentioned, I am here only as a guide, so please feel free to do whatever your body feels like doing. If you see a certain pose that doesn't suit you, please change. This is your practice. I'm just here to lead you, but you can choose whatever you want to do. So to begin, we're gonna begin in a seated position. It could be on your knees, just like I am, or with your legs crossed. Either way, I would suggest that we place your pillow, if you have one, or a block, just underneath your sit bones, just like this. So you might want to sit on the other edge of the pillow so that we can stay straight up and just in a more comfortable position throughout our grounding. And when you're ready, I invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable with it, or just lower your gaze, or maybe focus on something in front of you that just catches your attention. Let's take one deep breath in and out. Perhaps we can start focusing on the contacts that we have with the floor. Could be your feet, your sit bones. Maybe check your hands placement. Maybe your fingers are interlaced, or your palms are touching your thighs, or anything else. And maybe start to focus on your breathing. How does it feel to breathe today? Notice how your chest inflates as you inhale and deflates as you exhale. And you can stay here focusing on your breath, but we can also expand our awareness throughout our entire body and experience right now. So, how does it feel to be alive in this very moment? What's coming up? And I invite you to keep this awareness on your body throughout the whole practice. And if your mind wanders at any time, just remember that that's what minds do. It's completely normal and fine. But remember that we always have an anchor, which is our breath. And you can always come back to that. Or just any other body sensation that catches your attention the most. We're all different. We all have different anchors. Keep breathing. And if it's easier for you, we can also use our mantras, so certain sentences that we can come back to during the practice. I would suggest maybe one like an I am mantra. It could be I am healthy, I am safe, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. Or any other word that you might need to hear right now. And we can start to wake our body up, perhaps wiggling your toes and your fingers, your ankles, your wrists. And if your eyes are closed, you might want to blink them open very slowly. Maybe look around the room, just come back to the present moment of being awake. And maybe we can start to move the spine side to side, just adding some gentle movement. Like if your grass and the wind is blowing you side to side very gently. Maybe we can lift our hands and just go side to side, or just do any movement that feels good to you right now. And very slowly, if you have a pillow underneath your hips, we can place it somewhere else, and we can go on our backs. Once you make your way there, make sure you're grounded, so your chin maybe just have a slight tuck on the chin so that your spine is elongated. Make sure your feet are hip distance apart, that's more or less 2 fists in between. And make sure you ground them, so really spread the toes onto the floor, feel the mat or whatever's supporting your body. And we're gonna place both hands alongside our hips, palms are facing down, and make sure they are grounded as well, so really feel what's underneath your hands. We're gonna tuck the pelvis forward so that you can start firing up the core here. And very slowly, we're gonna give you different options. We can start to peel off the hips all the way up. And we're gonna follow with our torso. And you can stay here, just steady. Remember to engage the glutes so that you can keep your hips up and squeeze those knees so that they're right on the same line with your hips. Or you can gently come back down, vertebra per vertebra. It's like if you're peeling off a sticker. And slowly rise back up, so peel those hips up. And then all the way to the torso. And we can come back down, vertebra per vertebra. Feel your spine touching the ground softly. And let's keep this movement going. Unless maybe you feel like staying steady up there during this practice. Anything that feels good to you right now. Remember to inhale as you go up and exhale as you come back down. So let's bring this principle of moving with the breath. Feel your chest gently opening here. And we're starting to warm up our glutes, the front part of our thighs. And very gently we can come back down. Let's take a few breaths here, see how you feel. Ground. And then we can slowly roll on your preferred side into this lovely fetus position. So just on the side you can have one arm supporting your head. You can also hug your knees towards your chest. And this is just a nice way to calm the nervous system, come back into your body, show yourself some self-love. And using your hands, you can make your way up. And we're gonna come onto our knees. If you have a blanket with you, it can be used in different ways. You can use it underneath your knees for padding. And the more you fold it, the more padding you will be, so you can choose. And this is very useful, especially if your knees, if you have like some problems on your knees, it's just really useful. Or you can just set it aside, you don't really need it. We're gonna come into our child pose, so we're gonna place our toes together, so our toes touch behind us and our knees are spread wide. You can have your knees as wide as you can. Just remember that the widest your knees are, the more of a stretch you're gonna feel. Whereas if your knees are closer together, the less intense the stretch will be. So just decide once you're there what suits you. And then we're gonna walk our hands forward and we're gonna bring our chest and forehead to the ground. This is a child pose here. Rest your forehead on the floor. You can also move it side to side to give your forehead a little bit of a massage. Here you can also use your pillow or a block, and you can place it between your feet and your glutes for support if you feel like your sit pose is not able to touch your heels. Or you can also place it underneath your forehead just to bring the floor closer to you and feel more supported. And if you want to feel safer, you can also take the blanket and just place it just on your body. And this should give a sense of grounding, a sense of safety. Perhaps we can repeat our mantras here. I am safe. I am healthy. And then when you're ready, we can inhale, look up, and we're gonna start to walk our hands towards the right side of the body. The more towards the right you go, the more stretch you're gonna feel on the side body. And this is just a nice way to open the spine. Mobilize the spine, open the hips. And then very slowly we can walk our hands towards center. And then we can walk them towards the left. And just go as deep as you feel comfortable with. And slowly come back to center. You can stay here in this nice grounding pose for as long as you want. But if you're ready, we can start to slowly come back up into a tabletop. So we're gonna place our hands right underneath our shoulders and our knees right underneath our hips. Feel really supported here. Activate your hands. Spread your fingers wide on the mat. And we're just gonna add some movement. So you can either do a simple cat and cow here. So you can inhale, drop the navel towards the floor, open the chest, look up. And exhale, round your spine. Look towards your legs. Exhale, open the chest, look up. And inhale, look towards your thighs. Or we can add more movement. So you can inhale, round the spine. Bring your navel towards the mat, look up. And bring the bum towards your heels. And then exhale, round the spine. And shift the weight towards your hands. Here you can inhale, drop the navel down. go towards your heel. Exhale, round back up. Move towards your hands. And keep this movement going. It's just a nice, gentle wave that we're doing with your spine here. Just to warm up the body. And then, when you're ready, we can come back to our preferred child pose. So toes together, knees apart, and we just go towards the floor. This is just a nice pose to also feel your breath. As you might have noticed, we can feel our breathing more as we are kind of folded towards the ground and also within ourselves in a way. And then when you're ready, we can make our way up again into our tabletop. Always remember option to have your blanket either on top of you as we do movements. You can do any movement with your blanket on you if that feels safer, or you can have them to pad your knee or just don't use it at all. So we're on a tabletop, and from here we're going to engage the core and lift the right leg up so that it's parallel to the ground. Let's do some ankle circle, one way and then another, and just really feel your leg extending behind. You can have it high up or also just have your toes on the ground. It doesn't matter here. And maybe swing back and forth if you can, with your toes down or your toes up. And then very gently we can bring our right foot on the other side of the right hand here, and we can start to drop our hips down. This is where the blocks might come in handy, so you can place them underneath your hands here just to bring the floor closer. And you have like different heights, so just choose the height that best suits you here. Inhale, open the chest, look forward, and just feel how the hips are opening. You might want to think of dropping the weights on the right glute, and that should help to square your hips more and just feel it a little bit better. And if you want a little bit more of a stretch, you can also tuck the back toe under and lift the knee. Let's take a few breaths here, just see how you feel. And remember, if it gets too intense, you can always back off. And then if your knee is up, you can start to lower it down. And you can stay here, static, or we can add a bit of movement. So we can start to bring the hips back and start to straighten that right leg into our half split. And now we can come back into our lizard and back. So just choose how you want to move. There's just a little bit of movement here. If you feel like you're getting more warmed up and open, you can also get rid of the blocks. And inhale as you go back, exhale as you move forward. Let's do it 2 more times. And then we can start to maybe get rid of the blocks. So we can place them on the side. And we're gonna start to heel toe our right foot towards the left. So very slowly, we're gonna start to bring it towards the left into our pigeon and drop the hips down. So whenever we're on our pigeon, the more your foot is closer to your pelvis, the less intense the stretch will be, and it's just easier to stay on the pose. And the further your foot is, so if you can create a 90-degree angle, then the more intense the stretch is. But you don't need to be there. I'm not there either, I just want to be comfortable. And here you have the option to place your pillow underneath your hips here for more support and just to stay more comfortable in the pose. You also have a few options with your hands. You can stay up here. You can also maybe place your blocks in front of you to support, or we can come on our forehand, or we can place our forehead on our forearms here, all the way down. Or you can also use your block and place your forehead on the block to give more support to the neck. We're gonna stay here for 10 breaths. So just find your most comfortable position. Always remember that you can back off at any time. You don't need to be here. And you can find your anchor. It could be any sensation in the body. It could be your breath or your chosen mantra. You might start to notice that your hips are opening up, and you can allow that, but also maybe find tension in the body. That's not your hips, could be your neck, your shoulders, and I invite you to try to soften that tension if it's visible to you. It might not be, and if it's not, just let it stay there. Now very slowly we can come back up from anywhere you are. And we can use the strength of our glutes and our legs and our arms to lift our hips up here. You can get rid of the pillow if you have one underneath you, and then slowly bring your foot all the way back into a tabletop. And to counteract, we can also extend the leg back up. Always option to keep your toe down and really extend, flex the foot, and maybe roll your ankles one side and then the other. And we can bring the knee down. I stay here for a few moments, feel the difference between your right leg and your left. See if something is coming up for you. And then when you're ready, we can bring the left leg up, or option to keep your toe down, roll your ankle one way and then the other, and see if you can find that back and forth motion here as well. And then we're gonna, with control, bring the left foot on the other edge of your left leg and bring the hips down. Of course, always the option to use your blocks for support, and notice if this side feels different. They're usually always very different. One button might be stiffer, the other one might be more open. It's just the sensation might be different. Open the chest, drop the shoulders down, look up or forward, and see if you can bring more weight onto that right hip to open the psoas a little bit more. And your option to attack the toes under and lift the right knee for a bigger stretch. And then if your knee is up, you can lower it and we can start to find that motion. So as you inhale, bring your hips, as you exhale, bring your hips back into our half split. Inhale, forward. Exhale, back. Inhale, forward. And just go with it at your own pace. See, notice how it feels to move. We can do it more or less 2 more times. And then we can start to set the blocks aside, and we're gonna toe and heel the foot towards the right to go into our pigeon pose. And lower the hips down. As you can see, because of an injury, my hip is not as open, so I have to keep my foot very close to our pelvis. But if you can send it away from your pelvis, that's really good. If you can't, that's really good as well. Just choose your pose. Of course, option to stay here, option to grab the mats, the blocks, option to come on your forearms, or option to come all the way down. Or even if you did it on the other side, grab a block and place your forehead on it. Remember, we're gonna stay here for a little bit. So find what's comfortable for you in a pose that you can rest in. And find your anchor. Maybe notice how this side is different than the other. Notice if there's any tension in the body that you might want to release. Or even if you don't know how to release it, just let it be. Just work with the question, how does it feel to just let it be? Let it happen. And then very slowly, if you're ready, you can stay here for as long as you want. It could be quite a soothing asana. You can walk your hands back up, and as we did before, with your glutes, your hands, we're gonna send the hips up and send the foot back and slowly make our way into our tabletop. And once you're there, we're gonna lift the left leg up or keep your toe down. Just really extend, flex that foot. This should be really good. It's a nice way to counteract what we just did. Maybe you roll your ankle one way and then the other. And bring your knee down. Let's just take a second here just to notice. Maybe take one big inhale in. And one big exhale out. And notice how your body knows exactly how much air to take in and how much air to let out. Then we can make our way into a seated position. Here you can place your blanket on you. I'm not gonna do that, otherwise you won't be able to see what I'm doing. And you can also use the pillow or the block to place underneath your sit bones. We're gonna place our feet right in front of us. The distance doesn't really matter, just are you comfortable with them? Knees are bent, and we can place both hands on either side of our hip. And we're going to send our knees towards one side. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, towards the other. Inhale, up. Exhale, the other. Just keep this movement going at your own pace. And it's just a nice way to mobilize the hips for one last time, and just give the legs a little shake. Remember to move with your breath if that's suitable for you and if it feels good to you. You can keep doing this for as long as you want, of course. But if you're ready, we can start to find our laying position. So just lay on your back. It would be quite nice here to place your blanket on you as we're starting to cool down. And here you have the option to have your legs extended, your legs bent with the sole of the feet on the ground, or we can also place the feet towards the outer edges of the mat and have our knees together. And this is just a really nice counteraction of the opening that we've been doing, and it also gives a nice gentle stretch to the lower back. If you don't want to be here, you want your legs extended, you can also place the pillow right underneath your hips, your knees, for a little bit of support. So just choose how you'd like to end the practice. Find your anchor here. As I said, moving the hips can bring up some emotions, which is really good. It means that we're releasing stuff. It takes time, so if nothing has happened to you today, that's completely fine. It takes practice and practice. And for some people, it's faster to release than others, as we're all different. Remember that you are safe, you are healthy, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. You can stay here for as long as you want. I really invite you to ground. It's really good to soothe our nervous system and rebalance. And I really hope you enjoy this practice, and I look forward to practicing more with you. You can do this at any time as you wish. Namaste.